My beloved friends, for centuries humanity has lived surrounded by temples, scriptures, rituals and sermons, and yet we remain utterly ignorant about God. God is not a belief but an experience, because belief is always second-hand, borrowed, handed down like an old garment that never truly fits the soul. Belief depends on words, on teachings, on someone else's conclusion. You accept it because you were told to accept it, or because everyone around you accepts it, or because the fear of not accepting it feels too heavy. But belief can never quench a deep thirst. It can only decorate the surface. Experience, on the other hand, arises from within, uncontaminated by doctrine or tradition. It is not something you repeat. It is something that happens to you when the mind becomes quiet and the heart becomes open. Experience is direct, like touching fire, instead of hearing someone describe its warmth. When you experience, there is no need for belief, because knowing has replaced it. Belief depends on the intellect. Experience depends on awareness. You can believe in a God you have never known, never touched, never felt. Millions do. But that belief remains a thin veil over a deeper emptiness. Experience fills that emptiness with a living presence, a sense of connection with existence that cannot be explained but can be felt in every breath. In experience, God is no longer a theory but a reality vibrating in the wind, in the silence, in the depths of your own being. Belief separates you. Experience dissolves you. When there is experience, the seeker and the sought disappear, leaving only a vast, luminous presence. This is why belief divides and experience unites. Belief creates arguments, experience creates transformation. Experience needs no temple, no scripture, no priest. It needs only a moment of total openness where the boundaries of the ego fall away. In that moment, the divine is not found, it is revealed. Society has given second-hand truths because it has always been easier to hand over a ready-made answer than to encourage an individual to explore. From childhood, we are surrounded by voices telling us who we are, what is right, what is wrong, what to believe, and even what to fear. These truths were not discovered by us. They were passed down through generations, like inherited relics, carrying the dust of centuries. No one questions whether they still hold any meaning. People simply repeat them because repetition feels safe, familiar, less risky than searching on one's own. A borrowed truth gives a sense of belonging, but it does not give understanding. It becomes a comfortable prison, invisible yet powerful. The tragedy is that second-hand truths never lead to clarity. They only lead to conformity. When society says, "This is the truth," it is often protecting its structure, not your freedom. It wants obedient minds, not awakened ones. Every institution, religious, political, cultural, thrives on people who accept without asking. So these truths are wrapped in authority, fear, and tradition, making them appear sacred even when they are hollow. A person who questions threatens the very foundation of this borrowed knowledge. So society teaches you to obey rather than to inquire. And slowly, curiosity, the most divine spark in a human being, is discouraged. But second-hand truths cannot nourish the soul. They cannot touch the inner hunger for meaning. They may guide behavior, but they cannot awaken insight. Because truth is not a commodity to be handed over. It must be discovered by each individual in their own way. When you accept what society gives you without examining it, you live someone else's life, carry someone else's conclusions, breathe someone else's understanding. The result is a life filled with borrowed words but empty of personal realization. Fear has replaced love, because for centuries humanity has been conditioned to obey rather than to explore, to conform rather than to feel. Fear is a convenient tool. It requires no depth, no awareness, no transformation. Love, on the other hand, is unpredictable. It makes individuals courageous, independent, alive. A fearful person bows easily, but a loving person stands tall. This is why fear became the foundation of moral systems, religious teachings, and social expectations. Instead of inviting people to blossom from within, society warned them of punishment, judgment, and rejection. Slowly, fear entered the bloodstream of human consciousness, and love, so delicate, so subtle, was pushed to the background. Fear demands control. Love dissolves control. When a person acts out of fear, they follow rules without questioning whether those rules nourish their soul. Fear whispers, "Do this or suffer," and that voice has echoed through languages, cultures, and centuries. Love whispers too, but its voice is softer, requiring silence, openness, and trust, qualities that fear-based conditioning tries to suppress. A person dominated by fear cannot truly love, because love requires vulnerability. Fear builds walls. Love opens doors. Fear clings. Love lets go. Fear doubts. Love trusts. Slowly, these opposites create two different worlds within the same human heart. Fear also pretends to be love. People often obey out of fear but call it loyalty. They stay silent but call it respect. They follow traditions blindly but call it devotion. Fear wears the mask of virtue, while love stands unadorned, needing no disguise. Yet beneath all this conditioning, the human heart still longs for love. Authentic, unbounded, transformative love. But to reach it, one must first recognize how deeply fear has become a habit, a reflex, a shadow that moves before every decision. Only then does one realize how rarely we love and how often we merely submit. The divine is within because the essence you seek has never been separate from you. From the beginning, existence has placed its spark in every heart, yet people wander endlessly searching outside toward temples, mountains, scriptures, and distant heavens. They forget that what they long for is woven into the very fabric of their being. The mind is trained to look outward. It believes truth must be somewhere far away, guarded by someone else. But the inner world remains unexplored, like a vast kingdom whose doors have never been opened. The divine is not an object to be found, but a presence waiting to be recognized, hidden beneath layers of conditioning, fears, desires, and borrowed identities. When you sit silently with yourself, even for a moment, you begin to sense a subtle glow inside, something that does not come from thought, memory, or imagination. It is a living presence, a quiet awareness that observes everything without being touched by anything. This awareness is the divine. It is the same essence that beats in every life, moves every leaf, and breathes through every moment. People think the divine is extraordinary, but it is the most ordinary, the most intimate aspect of existence. That is why it is missed so easily. It does not shout, it whispers, it does not demand, it simply is. Every experience of insight, every moment of peace, every wave of compassion arises from this inner source. When you are aligned with it, life flows with an effortless grace. When you are disconnected from it, life becomes a struggle, a constant search for meaning. The divine within is not a belief. It is an experience of coming home to yourself. It has nothing to do with rituals or doctrines. It reveals itself in silence, in awareness, in the simple act of being present. To find it, you need not travel anywhere. You need only turn inward, clear the dust from the mirror of your consciousness, and see what has always been there. The divine is within because the deepest part of your being is not made of thoughts, emotions, or memories. but of pure awareness. This awareness is not personal. It does not belong to your name, your story, or your identity. It is the same mysterious presence that has existed before you were born and will remain long after your thoughts disappear. People search for the divine in distant places, believing it must be found in some sacred geography or through elaborate rituals. Yet all the while the source of life is quietly pulsing inside them, closer than their breath, waiting to be noticed. The mind, restless and outward-looking, keeps missing this simple truth. It is trained to chase, to seek, to question externally, but rarely does it turn inward to see what is already glowing there. The inner divine does not reveal itself through noise, but through silence. When the constant chatter of the mind pauses, even for a brief moment, a different kind of space opens within, a space that feels vast, peaceful, and strangely familiar. In that space, you are not the personality you present to the world. You are something deeper, more expansive. This inner presence is untouched by the chaos of life. It does not change with circumstances, opinions, or seasons. It remains steady, like a quiet flame hidden beneath layers of dust. The moment you become aware of it, you feel a gentle shift, as if life has suddenly aligned with something meaningful. This inner divinity expresses itself in intuition, in moments of compassion, in sudden clarity that seems to arise from nowhere. It guides without commanding, listens without speaking, and shines without seeking attention. You do not need to believe in it, you only need to feel it. And when you do, you realize that the divine has never been distant or mysterious. It has always been your own innermost nature, waiting patiently for your recognition. In the end, the search for God is nothing other than the search for your own deepest truth. You were given beliefs, doctrines, and second-hand answers, but none of them could satisfy the longing within you because they were never yours to begin with. Fear was used to shape your understanding, yet fear can only shrink the soul. It can never open the doors of the sacred. Slowly, you forgot that love is the true gateway, silence is the true temple, and awareness is the true scripture. The divine was never hiding in the sky or in distant holy places. It was hiding behind your own thoughts, waiting for you to look inward. When you drop borrowed truths and return to your own experience, something extraordinary happens. The separation between you and existence disappears. You no longer seek God as an external authority, but recognize the divine as the very essence of your being. This realization is not the end of a journey, but the beginning of a new way of living, fearless, loving, conscious. The real truth is simple. You were never lost, only distracted. And the moment you turn inward with honesty and openness, the divine reveals itself as the most natural part of who you are.